If you're listening on podcast, be sure to tune in to our YouTube channel on YouTube at Wild and Weird WV.
Welcome to Wild and Weird Radio, a Wild and Weird West Virginia podcast. Welcome back to Wild and Weird Radio, everybody. We've got a fun and interesting show by request for you guys lined up now that spooky season is officially out the door.
Thank God.
Right?
Now, I really enjoy spooky season, but man,
this year seemed kind of like cluttered and rushed. Like, and I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about life in general.
Yeah. And what was really crazy about it, though, Joe, is that it was rushed in the end. But it felt like it took forever to get there.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was where everybody just started so early. I'll be honest with you. I mean,
it might be. That might be it.
I didn't even put up, I don't know if you know, I didn't even decorate.
I know you didn't. The last time I was there, I didn't see anything outside. And I was just like, oh.
No, okay. But I didn't even decorate. I even went to Home Depot. I scored one of those Predators of the Night things, you know. It's down the basement. I didn't put it out. I have it, but I didn't put it out. But you know, we were on the road a lot too. And
we were.
I really didn't.
September and October, we're busy.
Yeah. And to do those big displays like I used to do, you usually start in September putting the stuff up.
Yeah.
But you don't turn it on until, about 2 weeks into October usually. But I just didn't do it, man. It was just too much work, getting ready for shows and stuff. But probably next year I'll get back into it. I know that we did manage to do the carving of our jack-o'-lantern, the moth-o'-lantern. So I got the moth-o'-lantern done. And there's a few little things like that. But
we took the kids trick-or-treating. That was as exciting as it got for us.
Awesome.
We had a blast though.
No, that's awesome. That's really cool. I mean,
we had some fun. The neighbors here in our subdivision, they mostly were all out handing out candy, and it was really cool.
I made 2 little kids very happy because you know where I live, the hill, right?
Yeah, it's the hill.
I mean, when I do this, you know what I mean. It's literally a hill, and it actually gets steeper as you go up. But I would see them. I could stand out here on the porch and I could see them. I could hear them out there, and they were all up there walking and, on the little leveled out area up there on the road. And then it comes down, and a couple of them come down to the house before us, but they turn around and go back. And I kept thinking, come on, the first person that comes down here, man, you had the lottery. So I had a pumpkin, a big giant jack-o'-lantern just full of candy.
Yeah.
And I got 2 little kids that came down with their mom and dad. And I was handing them some candy, and she was like, started to walk away. I was like, oh no, you're not done yet. So I just reached in her with both hands and put them. She's like, oh my God, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, you guys braved the hill. I said the first kid that came down here was gonna clean up, and you cleaned up. So happy Halloween.
That's great.
Yeah, man.
Oh man. Well, we're starting to enter into the what we consider our down season. We do have one more show left. We're going to be speaking at CryptidCon this month, but you can always tune in here for more content. We're hopefully going to be able to start speeding up the process with both of us working on some of this stuff to get some videos that we've took over this course of a year. We just haven't had time to put them together and get them up here for you guys to watch. But we've got a couple investigations. Ron, I know, is going to be working on the Wineberry Part 2.
And we've got the library.
The library, that's right. Yes, the library. And then we went out and we filmed a series of shorts. And when I say shorts, I mean a few minutes each of how to do some Bigfoot research in the field, and we'll get those worked through as well.
Little bits and clips. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And we've had like a ton of people sending in sightings, and getting a hold of us to tell us about what they've got going on with different things from UFOs to Bigfoot sightings. It's been pretty interesting.
Have you
Because
noticed that how they've leveled out? They've balanced almost
yeah,
now because we used
yeah,
to get like a bunch of UFO sightings and very
yeah.
little big, and now it's just like we're getting both. We got the UFOs and the Bigfoots, and they're almost coming in at the same
Well,
frequency at this point.
after this past week, I'm thinking we might get an uptick in the Bigfoot reports too, because we were on a local news
That's
station here
right.
in West Virginia, over on Channel
Yep.
13 News with Mary Lee McCoffey,
Yep.
and we had been teasing this a little bit over the last couple weeks, but man,
Well, she did good, didn't she?
she really did edit it good. There was to have almost 25 minutes worth of audio. I think she
Can't
put it
believe
together fairly well.
she's amazing. Whoever, if she edited that, she did
Yeah,
an amazing job at telling the story and cutting out. Because I know she was like, "I'm going to have a terrible time." I'm like, "Yeah, you are." I mean, I know how that goes, but
right.
she did a really good job, man. I think that she told the story really well, and I just loved it. I thought it's probably one of the best interviews that I've been involved with. I know it's probably one you've been involved with as well.
Oh, easily. Yeah, it was super relaxed. She was actually really pleased with the way that we were handling the interview as well. She's like, Have you guys done a lot of like news interviews?" We're like, "No, we host a show."
It's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah. Um, but the events that transpired after the camera shut off,
Oh wow, yeah, they were amazing.
hearing that what's called samurai chatter in the Bigfoot community, and her hearing it, Tyler hearing it,
Yeah, camera guy
all of
heard it.
you and
Yep.
I and Maria hearing it.
The whole thing about him was hilarious because she's like, "Tell me you got that on recording," and he's standing there. His eyes are like this. He's like, "Nah, camera's been off." I'm like, "This is priceless.
Yeah.
This is
So
great."
now they're in on our plight that,
Yeah,
when you can't catch this
once
stuff.
bitten, once bitten, man. It's
Yep.
you know what it's like looking for gold.
It
That's what
is.
it
It's
is.
like
It's like gold
prospecting. You
fever.
get
Yeah,
that
it's like
nugget.
yeah, it's like gold fever, man. Once you
Yeah.
get that little bit of gold, you're like, man, I know there's more out there. And you're next thing you know, you've got a mule, and you got picks and axe. You're buying, claims to places that you don't even think you probably never visit. But yeah, that's kind of what it
Yeah.
is. It's like it is. It's like a fever you get. It's a Bigfoot fever. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
Is that
That's
is that
it.
taken? Is that it?
I
Well,
think at this point, I think it has, because she's been shooting me some text messages here and there, and
uh-oh.
sending me videos.
Uh-oh. She got it.
Yeah.
She got it.
And but guys, this week's episode is by special request. We are getting back into the UFOs and alien stuff. Okay, guys.
Yeah, you've been asking for it, which I think that's pretty cool because that tells me
Yeah.
something, Joe. That tells me something. That tells me that they're listening,
Yeah.
they're paying attention, and they want to know more. And they don't necessarily. I don't think they necessarily trust some of the sources.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, would you? I
Nope.
wouldn't.
Nope.
You see all
Nope.
this stuff on TV anymore, and you don't know what to take truth from fiction. One of the ones that I can point people to is usually Skinwalker Ranch. It's got Dr. Travis on there, and he's like my go-to guy for any of this stuff.
Well, everyone thinks that that's complete BS. By the way, they think that that's all made up. Now, why don't you tell them why we don't think it's made up?
The reason we don't think it's made up is because we have been collecting the exact same data sets here every time we go out,
Yeah,
almost.
and it can't be.
We have collected evidence of UAPs on thermal.
Multiple
We have
occasions.
detected the radiation spikes, and we have also captured the 1.6 frequency.
Yeah, the 1.6 gigahertz frequency. Yeah,
Yes.
and it shouldn't be there, especially when
No.
we're doing what we're doing. Some of those aren't even Bigfoot stuff, bud.
No,
Some
they're
of those,
not.
like we got that in the library doing
Yeah.
a paranormal investigation. Why? Why did we get that during a EVP session of all things?
Yeah.
and then it just disappeared at the end. And I don't understand that. And logically, I don't understand it. But I could probably come up with a couple of.
For anybody who might be wondering what the 1.6 gigahertz frequency is, that is a satellite to Earth frequency. It is specifically banded for non-terrestrial radio signals to come to Earth.
Yeah.
And that's what we get. I can't make it up. I wish I was.
Yeah.
Because
you can't broadcast on that, Joe.
No, you can't. It's illegal to broadcast. It's illegal to broadcast. The federal government has that channel blacklisted.
Yeah. It's there. So you can't broadcast on that.
And if you do, they will find you and come after you.
And it's easy to do. That's what people don't understand. Triangulation is so easy to do. So no one's dumb enough to do that. So there's no way that someone is off in the corner. That's what I'm trying to get at. During our workshops or something, playing with a transmitter and going 1.6. No, you can't do that.
Yeah, like there's been a few times that they have done it, but there was specific requests made to do so, and
well, they bounced signals. That was actually on one of the episodes.
Yeah, they bounced signals,
and it was not 1.6. They actually did a resonant harmonic or something is how it was.
Oh, okay.
You have to go below it. You have to go below it, and then the harmonic transfers. So it's a resonant frequency, and it'll ping into the 1.6 range. So that's how they managed to do that. So that's a technicality, and they can do that.
But they still had luckily they did have a guy from the federal government there with them while they were doing it. How about
they had a ham operator is who they had with them, and
a ham operator on top of that.
He was fully aware of what he could and could not do. Let's put it that way. But what we're getting at is it shouldn't happen, right?
Yeah, no, this shouldn't happen naturally. We shouldn't just be getting it in the middle of the forest. We shouldn't be getting it in the middle of a library.
Nope.
This just shouldn't have that frequency, and it's intermittent. It comes in for a minute and it's gone.
And what's really strange, Joe, is we have caught this frequency time and time again now during certain key tests that involve what should I say? Communication, experimentation, possibly something like that.
You can call it communication, or you can call it poking the bear.
Yeah. C5s, call it what you want, right?
Yeah.
But it's whenever you're kind of trying to do something, it seems like this is when it comes out. And it's like, man, what are we dealing with? And I got a feeling that's going to be a future episode that will be
100%. And
going into.
So for the topic of this episode, guys, if you notice, we've skipped the news. We've kind of updated you a little bit on what's going on in our personal lives and such. But over this past year, we've had multiple key historic events from the very beginning of this year. It just kicked off. We had spy balloons. We've had NORAD turning off filters where they had filters turned on to eliminate some of these other objects from the radar. We've had hearings, we've had leaks, we've had whistleblowers, and we've had snowblowers.
Man, I'm telling you, there's a song in there somewhere.
Right? I mean, it has been an absolute roller coaster of a year if you follow the UFO phenomena, or if you just remotely want to believe.
And what's crazy is a lot of people at this point in the game have forgotten how the game started.
Yeah.
And this is true. And they're fascinated by some of the stuff that they're hearing, which makes me think they're going to be really fascinated by some stuff they're going to hear soon.
Oh, yeah. Right. I got a feeling when we do our year in review, God help us. I hope we're not as right as we have been the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So get this,
where to start? Take us back to the beginning.
That's it. Well, to get this ball rolling, we are going to rewind the clock. Not too far back. We're staying in 2023, guys. This is just 2023 for the most part.
Keep that in mind as this whole episode progresses. This is just this year up to this point.
So January 28th, 2023, NORAD detected an unauthorized breach into U.S. airspace over the Alaska Peninsula north of the Aleutian Islands. Okay. The object was determined to be a balloon and no threat was indicated. On Monday, January 30th, the balloon drifts over Canadian airspace where it was assessed to have spy spyware installed. Normally, when these things have spyware installed, they also contain self-destruct mechanisms. A day later, January 31st, this thing makes it across the U.S. It crosses into the U.S. aerospace. Now it is caught a firestorm on social media, and everybody's saying, shoot it down, shoot it down, shoot it down. We've got people out in the Midwest who are shooting rifles at this thing. There's
no way they're not gonna hit it.
Yeah.
It's 50,000 feet in the air. It's a little
when it comes
dot.
to and you don't know which direction it's going to move, there's no way to predict it. So this thing started people got paranoid. It freaked everybody out. I was one of the people that was like, why haven't we taken this down yet? Wait. And then as I'd rethink it, I'd sit and rethink. I'm like, guys, I'd try to talk to some of my friends that I was working with. And they were like, why haven't we shot this thing down, Joe? Because they know I got military background. And I'm like, I don't know, but the only reason I can think is that they're worried that there might be a payload on board. And if it's the ground, what it's going to release. Which that was a concern, not an imminent concern. It wasn't one of the preceding things that kept them from shooting it down. But ultimately, on February 4th, the decision was made to take this balloon out of the sky. So what happens is the FAA temporarily grounds flights at airports in Wilmington and Myrtle Beach and
This
Charleston.
is literally how we found out this was happening, by the way.
Yeah.
In real time.
An F-22 stealth fighter takes off from Langley Air Force Base to meet up with a squadron of F-15s and a tanker from other bases to launch the attack. At 2:39 p.m., 58,000 feet, the F-22 fires a single AIM-9X Sidewinder missile at the balloon, downing it off the coast of South Carolina. Now, the reason this was done from a military angle, once I saw where this balloon was drifting, there is a black hole, essentially. It is a dark spot where this thing's communication boards can no longer reach home base for about a 15-minute window of time. And then it's back in signal again. They had to wait till it hit that dark zone to go hit it. So that way, the self-destruct device would not be able to be triggered. Now, mind you, when I say self-destruct device, I'm not talking about like, a megaton. I'm talking about something probably about the size of like an M80, just enough to detonate and blow the main motherboard to make anything unretrievable. So this thing was shot down, and then it escalates.
Oh yeah, it escalates. It
was like one of those OxyClean commercials. But wait, there's more.
Yeah. And somewhere in the end, there was about 3 encounters with these things.
Yes.
Each day, it got a little bit more mysterious, didn't it?
They did. Because we found out that was when they turned off these filters. They start seeing these other objects that might be a little bit more bizarre. And NORAD even comes out and says, to stop calling this an air, or what did it say? What was the original terminology they were using? But they said they weren't going to use the term aircraft. I remember them saying that at first. Yes.
And they're like, well, what is it then? And some of the pilots were talking about how these things were jamming their radars, possibly causing interference. That they didn't seem to have any flight control mechanisms whatsoever. And now they start calling these things unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yep.
And this is where it got weird.
It is where it got weird, because now everybody's like, oh, just shoot down the balloons. Shoot down. It's another balloon. It's another balloon. And they're like, yeah, this isn't a balloon.
No. Nope. But
you have descriptions of cylindrical, silver, and appearing to float.
My favorite one was when allegedly the missile hit it. The missile did not explode. It impacted, and this thing shattered like glass.
Yes.
And then the other favorite part, because it was a push and pull. This is what really brought this year out to me and makes it stand out. We got to see the two sides going head to head that we've heard about. This side that wants to release information and the side that doesn't want you to have that information. And we got to
And
see them literally play by play. One day
over
it's
a 3-day time frame.
Yep. The
February 10th,
balloon.
February 11th, and
Yep.
February 12th.
It was a balloon. No, wait now. It's not a balloon. But it was a balloon. But that's not what they said here. And it just continued and continued right down to briefing Congress, as I
Yes.
recall at the time.
Yes, there was a briefing that was held, and not only that, but the White House even came forward to try to clear up the
Yeah.
speculation. And there was a press briefing that was like broadcast on everything.
And that didn't help either.
It didn't. It
Because
didn't.
the
That was
one
like,
senator who
"Oh, so
said,
you
go
don't
lock
want
your,
me to-"
well, the one senator, I can't remember his name, who said, go lock your doors.
Yes.
Like, why did you do that?
Yes.
Why did you do that? You had
He was sitting there talking. He's like, "Oh yeah. These things have been around for forever,
a very long time. They've been
very
around
long
a
time.
very
These
long
things have been
time.
around for a very, very, very long, repeated very multiple times, a long time." And then he summed up. They said, "Well, do you have any advice for the American people?" He said, "Yeah, lock your doors tonight. Lock your doors."
Tonight.
It's clear to me this is not a recent phenomenon. This has been going on for a long time.
Hold on.
At least 2017, and last week we were told 2019. That's what I took away from it today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Lock your doors tonight.
And walks off the camera.
So that didn't help things, is what we're trying to get at.
Like,
Right?
what's locking your doors gonna do?
I'm pretty sure they could walk right through the walls. So I don't think your doors is going to work. If
These things don't use doors.
Obviously he was not properly briefed.
No, the ultimate thing that was said here by the White House, their official statement was no sign of alien activity. There is again no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. The White House press secretary Karen Jean Perry said Monday in the press briefing. Yeah. You know what?
It's not aliens.
Here's the kicker. This just goes back. This will be a throwback. And our listeners are going to have a lot of questions, and we're going to have to explain later.
Star jelly?
Star jelly.
No,
but it's the same as when somebody brings you a monkey and they're selling it to you. You say, "Oh," and the last thing they say as they go out the door is, "Oh, the monkey doesn't masturbate either."
No.
And then walks out the door.
That's a true story. Yeah.
If this happens to you in your life ever,
don't buy the monkey. Yeah, don't buy the monkey. So what you're basically saying is they're lying. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Because that's what that sounds like to me. There is no, and I repeat, no indication of alien or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. But we're going to call them UAPs. It screams monkey to me.
It does. It really does.
It's a sideways monkey cell.
It's true. It's true. So we hoped that we would get some clarification in April, right?
Yes.
Because
we had the big hearing with Arrow. Yeah.
And we're like, Arrow's going to come save the day.
Yeah.
Arrow didn't save the day.
Arrow remains committed to transparency, accountability, and to sharing as much with the American public as we can. Arrow's work will take time if we are committed to do it right. It means adhering to the scientific method and the highest standards of research integrity. It means being methodical and scrupulous. It means withholding judgment in favor of evidence. It means following the data where it leads, wherever it leads. It means establishing scientific peer-reviewed theoretical underpinnings of observed data, and Arrow is committed to all of those standards. It means establishing scientific peer-reviewed. If you later follow this all the way to end, it starts to resolve itself into that blob that's in that picture in the top left, right? And if you squint, it looks like an aircraft because it actually turns out to be an aircraft. This one we can resolve.
We knew it wasn't going to happen.
We had our holdbacks on this. We were very, very conservative on what we thought was going to happen with this Arrow hearing. There was one thing that was said though that sent off red flags during this hearing. And that was when they were asking Kirkpatrick about one of the senators asked him 3 rapid fire questions. And I said, oh, yep, that guy's on the Budget and Finance Committee. And he's getting money. He's getting money allocated for the possibilities for national threat. And the same guy did the exact same questions later in a hearing that we're going to talk about later.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. But that's what it's all about, Joe. These hearings were literally about money. They were about funding. Arrow was there to get funding. That's all it was there for. But at the same time, they were there to combat these building allegations that were starting to show up at this point. That look, there may be a non-earthly explanation.
Are you telling me that Arrow went to this hearing to Blue Book
I
the phenomena?
I believe that was the words that we used at the time that it happened. They did. And not only did they Blue Book it, they went in there and they showed these beautiful slides.
They did.
And they explained away 2 or 3 of these things as best that they could.
Yeah.
And they even used my favorite terminology on this. This is where it becomes, someone else's problems, an SEP. That was where the SEP came from, this meeting, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
But then they did something else. They showed footage of these orbs. And they said they're everywhere. They're moving around. We don't know what they are, but they're out everywhere. They do this again later on in the year. They do the same thing.
But this was the first time we had seen it.
This is the first time.
April 19th of 2023 hearing.
Yep.
And coincidentally, we had captured these very same orbs in high altitude, high speeds on thermal.
And it totally looks like, what they're describing. They're small, they're orb shaped. They may or may not be transmitting a signal. Guess what the signal range was? It's in the gigahertz frequency ranges. This is a matter of public record now. We can go and look at this and look at it with the hindsight of the knowledge we know now. It's like, oh my God. I mean, what is going on here? So yeah, there's a lot of validation that's taken place to those people who do know the inside of these things. So when we hear things about, the frequency and it's visible on thermal, things like that, to us, that's like, holy crap.
Yeah. It's confirmation. It goes beyond validation. It's confirmation of our own
confirmation. Finding. It's hard confirmation. And then everybody else is just like, oh, they saw lights in the sky. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's the UFO. They hope they don't abduct you.
Right.
For real.
That is the most common thing that gets said to us.
Yeah, man. So, because at this point we're still kind of trying to make fun of the phenomena, and you can see the news if you're watching the news at this time.
Well, let's just talk about, speaking of making fun of the phenomena.
Yeah,
the May 31st NASA hearing.
This is where it gets wonderful.
Their big press release is just lambasted the UFO community.
There's about 3 or 4 people who are serious about doing their job and trying to get to the bottom of the UAP phenomena. And the rest are talking about hot air balloons and how they mistaken them for, UFOs, which should be an embarrassment to anyone, honestly.
Yeah, it really would be.
If I'm a fighter pilot,
that you are a rocketeer and that you are a rocket scientist, astrophysicist.
No, this guy was a pilot, dude.
He's a pilot.
He's a pilot. And
I'm talking about all the people on the panel.
Oh, no. Those people were, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the people on that panel. All these people who are taught, who I clearly understand that you've got more like alphabets in front of your name than my can of Campbell's alphabet soup.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you can't treat the general public like they're a bunch of idiots and expect.
They can.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why they can, Joe. This is why they can. Because they're speaking from a chair of presumed authority. And by presumed authority, I mean we, not me and you, but the general public give them that. They say, oh, those are experts.
Right.
Well, they know what they're talking about. So when they tell me that the sky is not blue, it's really purple, then wow, what a pretty purple sky. And literally, that's what we're dealing
Well,
with.
NASA fundamentally stands for never a straight answer.
I totally believe that. And, one of the best things about it, Joe, was they had an open forum
They
that
did.
they were taking from the public at the time, who was able to, chime in on social media with their questions. And they asked about the cover-ups and whatnot. And unlike what they should have said, which would have been like, oh, we don't really know, or we don't really have any evidence for such, NASA decides to almost get an attitude.
They did.
Comes off with this, basically, how dare you question our authority kind of answers. And it's like, what? Why would you do that? This is public relation 101. You don't do that. It
wasn't like anybody asked them about the Black Knight satellite.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well,
that if somebody had asked that, I'd understand why they got a little
sure.
But this was a generalized question.
Yeah.
And they were
have there been any sightings by past astronauts? No.
Yeah.
There's no evidence that UAP represent, anything extraterrestrial. There's no evidence that says that these things can do anything physically that we can't do. What? Are we talking about the same stuff? Did we slip into an alternate universe or a dimension or something? Because on the one hand, I've got
recent Mandela effect.
There you go.
Have you seen this one?
Oh God. Go ahead.
It is the Christmas song. I'll be home for Christmas.
What about it?
You can. What's the next word?
Count on me.
Wrong. That is not what it is. We're from the same universe, though. Apparently, it is you can plan on me.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. That was a special edition. When was that done? No, that was a special edition of the song. So both are right, by the way.
So both are right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you made me think. See, useless knowledge in my head again just got triggered. There's a special edition of that song that does say that. It was I believe it was a live recording.
This wasn't live. This is studio recording.
No. I'm talking about you can, whatever you said, that
plan
on it. Yeah. That was from a live performance. It was recorded, but it's from a live recording.
When you listen to the audio, it does not sound like a live recording from that era.
We're gonna blow this away. I'm telling you.
We'll
address this.
I'm smelling a Mandela effect part 2 coming up.
I am too. Would you guys like to see that or hear that or whichever? I don't know if you're watching or if you're listening.
Well, if you guys are interested in hitting us up to have a Mandela effect 2, all you got to do is reach out to us at wildandweirdwv@gmail.com. Let us know, yes or no.
You know what? They may have already did that, but they don't remember doing it.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. So back to NASA. Basically, what we're going to say about NASA, I'm just going to end it right here, is that it was a flop. It was a failure. People really believed that NASA was going to come out in the face of this past Arrow thing and set that whole Arrow thing straight, but they did not.
Well, here's the thing, man. If you pay attention, if anybody's actually paying attention to some of these dates, right, and you look at them in chronological order, you had April, which there was fairly nothing. February was white hot. March, nothing. April 19th, we had the Arrow hearing. That was a nothing burger. Then May 31st was the NASA public meeting.
Yeah.
Then a few days later, June 5th, a debrief article reveals a whistleblower and former UAP task force member has come forward to blow the lid off the UFO cover-up, and holy crap, he did. Then 2 days after that announcement, Las Vegas police respond to a home after 911 claims UFO with aliens crashed in the backyard. And
I know you remember this. The internet got broken, split in two over the period of a couple of days. But, I want to back up to the Arrow thing again, because this is important for what you just said about the June 5th thing. If you recall, in Arrow, at the end of that meeting, they were talking about whistleblowers, right? Because now we've passed the legislation. The whistleblowers are free to come forward and talk to Arrow. Arrow wants to hear their stories. When asked about that, they said, well, basically we don't have enough staff, but we're trying to get to them as fast as we can. It's important
Yeah.
that you hear that part, and you go back, you can watch the video. It's all,
And the way he ends it, he's like, I have to get out of here.
I have to get out of here. Yeah.
I've got
Literally.
a job to go do.
Pretty much. Yeah. And that's it. So, basically, are you listening to the public? Are you listening to those whistleblowers? Are you taking them seriously? Well, there's only a couple of us, and basically they're in line. That's kind of what they were saying.
Is Kilpatrick even taking his own job seriously?
I don't know if Kirkpatrick even knew what his job was, Joe, when he got into this. And I'm pretty sure that at this point he wishes he would never have taken it.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking at this point.
Well,
I would be.
I especially would be after June 12th of 2023, when News Nation breaks the internet. Okay.
Yeah.
David Grush comes forward to reveal his knowledge of UAP and non-human intelligence.
Bombshell claims from a military whistleblower. UFO wreckage recovered by the U.S. kept classified by a secret government program for decades.
Yep. Holy crap. You want to talk about break the internet? News Nation is a unbiased news source, just like everybody says are unbiased.
Yeah.
But they're independent. They're all through the internet. They're funded by the people who actually subscribe to them.
Kind of like us.
Yeah, kind of like us, right? And Grush went through them to release this in a remarkably and seemingly unedited way.
Yeah. So we had the initial reveal, and then a week later we had the full reveal. And boy, on the full reveal, did everything go crazy. This was the most hectic time of my life, by the way. I want to go back just for 1 second on this, because at this point we were preparing for Withville issue.
We were.
I had put together our presentation, and I had to edit it over 5 times because the story kept changing. There was more important things. And it was validating all this stuff that I already had in there. Yeah. And, it had to be put in. But, he starts talking about cover-ups, Joe.
He did.
He starts talking about real cover-ups, like X-Files kind of cover-ups, like, the government's like silencing people, and, I'm afraid for my life and stuff like that, right? And saying that it was gone on since the 1933.
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles.
We have spacecraft from another species. How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No.
Yes, the very first recovery in 1933 in Magenta, Italy.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, Magenta, Italy. And that it was basically was the church at the time found out about it, right?
Yes.
And
it was recovered.
Yeah.
Allegedly, and this goes back to some of the old early Nazi era stuff.
Yep.
Where allegedly they had recovered, or people who were involved with the Nazi regime had recovered this craft, and the Catholic Church essentially went in and yanked.
They said, they went in and they talked to American counterparts and said, hey, they have this. And then we sent in basically a special, where did they come from? A special op that went in to basically yank this thing out, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
a partially intact vehicle.
This is 1930s, guys.
Yeah.
We had some kind of crash retrieval crack commando team in 1933 that actually went in there and took this thing out without anyone knowing it. Well, that's what he alleges. He further alleges that there are non-human intelligences involved. He also makes it clear that he has not personally seen this stuff, and this gets tricky. And then he has to say things like, well, he's not allowed to talk about Roswell.
Right.
He can talk about anything else, but he can't talk about Roswell.
I can't talk about Roswell.
So what the heck happened at Roswell?
Well, I've got a couple ideas, but I can't talk about them here.
Okay. That's fair enough. That's totally fair enough.
So we're going in, we've got some downtime, right? Like maybe a month.
About a month. I think it was around a month or so.
Where things are quiet. And sometime around mid-July, Avi Loeb comes out and he's on search of with this massive magnetic contraption that he's built and attached to a boat.
He actually has a boat, Joe.
Yeah. And
I mean,
and he's seining essentially on the ocean.
Miles down
with a magnet, looking to confirm his theories of the crash of an interstellar object, an interstellar meteorite or asteroid.
Mm-hmm. Something hit the Earth in January 8th, 2014 in the Pacific Ocean. He thinks that its trajectory and its speed were not consistent with what we know as ordinary asteroids or meteorites, that this represented an interstellar object of some type. And he went as far as to say that it could possibly be a technosignature, pieces of an alien spacecraft, for example. So, so the crazy thing about Avi, Joe, this is not an armchair researcher.
No, it's not.
He is on the deck.
Yeah.
He is sending us photos via social media of him on the deck, pulling this stuff out of the ocean. He's like, well, first of all, we think we're close to it. And we're like, is he really going to find this?
Yeah.
Yep. He did. He found it.
Sure enough, he found it.
it.
So in a blog post dated July 18th, Pennsylvania State University astronomer Jason Wright, director of Penn State Extraterrestrial Intelligence Center, wrote that Loeb's shenanigans have lately strongly changed the astronomy community's perception of him, and that Loeb's work is unambiguously counterproductive, alienating the community working on these problems and misinforming the public about the search for possible extraterrestrial intelligence.
They attacked him.
They went after him after one of the largest astronomical physical finds ever.
Yeah. He went out there and did something that no one else could probably do. Dude, they found microspherules. I mean, they're a millimeter or a half a millimeter. Little. He found those miles down, brought them back, proved that they were not ordinary, extra. Yeah, they were not. They were not ordinary. Yeah. They originated in basically a galaxy far, far away, right? And that kind of what the consensus was?
Yep.
They're not from around here. So instead of getting any credit for that, just because he thinks that there's a possibility that some of these things may be extraterrestrial vehicles or ancient probes or something, he's blasted. He's blasted by the media and by his colleagues. Character assassination. Shoot the messenger because you don't like the message. Really? Is that what it's come down to?
I mean, pretty much.
Happens again.
Because on August 9th of 2023, Grush's health records get leaked. And the reporter makes these assertions towards him as being unstable and calling out his PTSD, which he was treated for and was very open about.
He was very open about that. Ross Coulthard asked him if there was anything any dirt that they could use against him. And he literally said the only thing that they could ever find would be his medical records where he had PTSD. And he's very open about it. He brought that forward. This was not a leak. This was not a breach. This was someone who was looking for a way to get at his credibility and to discredit him. If you remember, we talked about this when it happened. It was pretty infuriating, still is to me.
Yeah.
And they were using photos of him in that goofy, they like froze the video where he looked like he was, one of those kind of deals.
They did, yeah.
I know you guys do that to us. I don't care though. It's okay. It's fine. Have fun. That's what it's all about. But what he did was, or the author, not Grush, but what the author did here is instead of working it the way that they thought it was going to work, they turned it around. They turned it around where it made both sides, that polarizing force, you could see them now.
Yeah.
Push and shove even more. So you could definitely see the sides starting to form at this point. And
well,
it didn't
the
stop
reason that
Grush.
this was done, the reason the attack was made towards Grush to try to make him seem as less credible is because 2 weeks prior, there was a emergency hearing held on Capitol Hill. And in that hearing, David Grush, Ryan Graves, and David Fravor, the witnesses to the Tic Tac video and the gimbal video, are there talking about the incidents before House Oversight Committee for public knowledge. Like, this was televised, it was all over the place. And Congress is accusing the government of all these cover-ups.
We did a play-by-play, right? We did a play-by-play episode on this, didn't we?
We did.
Okay, so I'm going to link that down here. You guys can go, and it'll be in the comments below, or in the description, not comments, the description below, and you guys can go watch.
Because that was a whole episode.
It was a whole episode, and we did a play-by-play. We paused. We put the clips in there, the highlights for you. We didn't add anything. We just presented it the way that it was and cut out the fluff.
And it's very enlightening. You guys will enjoy it. If you haven't watched it, go back and check it out.
Yeah.
Now, speeding up forward to September, the Mexican government held its own public hearing on UFOs in which Jamie Maussan held a press conference to announce that he had in his possession the remains of 2 mummified non-human intelligent or aliens. According to the dating process carried out in Mexico National Autonomous University, UNAM, the bodies discovered near Nazca, Peru in 2017 were at least 1,000 years old, regardless of how much they look like a Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah. Well, find our inspiration where we find our inspiration, Joe.
Right. So these claims were ridiculed around the world, and we got MRIs, we got X-rays, we got everything.
But here's the thing, Joe. The Mexican government was not trying to bamboozle anyone. They weren't trying to do anything. I don't think they even knew what Maussan was going to do. Okay. I don't think they knew what he was going to do.
Because realistically, in Latin America, Maussan is held in pretty high regard when it comes to the UFO phenomena. He's always gone out to report it, cover it since the 80s.
Yeah, I don't think that they knew that there was any, possible trickery going on. But here's the thing. You've got people today who still are divided on this camp. Some people think this thing's real still. Some people think it's not real, I don't know what it is. I don't think that what we saw was real. Do I think that they may have uncovered bodies that are anomalous? Yep, I do.
Yeah, the actual Nazca mummies.
The actual Nazca mummies.
Real Nazca mummies from 2017. Yes, right. I do agree.
They're 2 different things.
Yeah.
And they've been lumped into one now. And I don't understand that confusion. I don't know if that's him,
and we covered that in an episode as well.
We did. so I don't know if that's, on purpose or not, but that has to play into it.
I think it's swamp gas, man.
Right.
I think it's thrown out there on purpose. And,
I think we know. Yeah.
Like whenever at the beginning of the episode, I started telling you about, we had leakers, we had whistleblowers, and we had snowblowers. And I think this was one of the snowblowers.
I think you're right. There's a purpose for all this.
Oh yeah.
Now take us up to where we are now.
So current-ish day, we're going back just 2 weeks ago. Okay, guys. Luis Elizondo jumps on X, and which is Twitter for anybody who hasn't gotten their lexicon sorted out. Like, honest to God, I think that was probably the first time I've gotten it right. And he wanted to update everybody saying, please know that there are ongoing efforts underway, and they will reveal themselves by early to mid 2024. At the risk of haters trying to sabotage our effort. Huh?
Where have we heard that before?
Oh, us here?
2024? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Right here on this show, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I can't be precise at this time, but if you have learned anything over the past 5 years, I never make empty promises. Trust me, this will be worth it.
Well, he has.
All I can hear is Blink-182's "Aliens Are Real" playing in the background. That's all I can hear when I read those comments from Luis Elizondo. It's all I hear is "Aliens Are Real" from Blink-182 playing.
Well,
real soft.
There might be a reason for that,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is not a publicity stunt, guys. He's not been the nature to do that. He prior to Grush coming out, he said that there were some things getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
That whistleblowers or something big was getting ready to happen.
Yeah, right. It was actually Gary Nolan who told us the whistleblowers were going.
Yeah, Gary Nolan was one that announced.
And that was a year before.
Yep. Luis Elizondo just said, like a couple weeks before Grush did his thing, Luis Elizondo went to Twitter again and he said, something big's getting ready to happen. Pay attention.
And it shows up that something big did in fact happen.
Yeah.
So we need to watch when these guys start talking. That's important.
Now, since the 13th, things got quiet for 2 weeks, which seems to be the standard. We get these 2 week to 4 week lulls.
There's one more thing. I want to address this because a lot of people think this, but Luis Elizondo does not have a Facebook account. I want to make that clear.
No, he does not. That's a drone account.
It is, but he has tried to report it, and they won't take it down. He's addressed this, but he said, so far they've painted him in a good light, and there's not anything malicious about it, so he doesn't care.
Yeah, it's basically they're just copying his stuff from Twitter and putting it on Facebook.
Yeah, so he has no problem with it at this point. So just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah. If you guys see it on Facebook, that's not really Lou. Lou is on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, but that's where he's at. Go ahead.
So with that said, we had that 2 week lull. And then as of October 27th, this is just a couple of days ago, because today's November 1st for us recording. We're recording later than usual because trick or treat. Last week, a former senior defense intelligence agency scientist became the 10th ex-government official, military officer, or scientist to allege or suggest publicly that the U.S. government has recovered at least one UFO.
10 government officials now.
That is 10. 10 people that wore the badge, that had the clearance, various agencies.
Yep. They allege that defense contractors are studying these UAP and the technologies from them, right? And that they're retrieved technology, that these are world-changing technologies. That's what they're saying at this point, right? Like this is a disruptive type technology if it falls into the wrong hands. Am I reading this right? Okay. Moreover, an expanded network of sources of Schellenberg, that's who it was reported to, that at least 30 whistleblowers familiar with these alleged UFO retrievals and analysis efforts have provided testimony now to Congress, the U.S. government, congressionally mandated UFO analysis office, and the investigative watchdogs that oversee the U.S. Department of Defense intelligence community. 30 whistleblowers now, Joe. One of those whistleblowers last week, or week before, I can't remember which one it was one of the guys at Malmstrom Air Force Base, I believe. The missile controller.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like they have a pretty good handle on what's going on out there, and I don't think that pretty soon we're going to be able to keep saying this is airborne clutter.
Yeah. Well, speaking to that, the IG of the intelligence community deemed that these whistleblowers' allegations are credible and urgent.
So Senate Intelligence Vice Chair Marco Rubio, it basically gave us two possibilities, Joe. According to Rubio, either dozens of credible individuals are gradually revealing the biggest story in human history, his words, or a sizable cohort of high-level government officials holding top security clearances are, quote, crazy.
Right? I mean, it comes down to what we say with a lot of these other reports we get of varying phenomena. They're either telling the truth or they're crazy.
Yeah, well, the difference in these guys, Joe, and this,
they're security clearances and top gut. You got all these officials that are pulling strings and doing stuff.
If they come out and they go and perjure themselves, I mean, they're
in jail time.
They're jail time.
Jail time, penalty of death.
They've lost their money. They've lost their any hope of retirement, pension, anything. It's gone. They wouldn't do that. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm with him though. There is your only logical
It,
explanation.
it really
You
is.
have two choices, and that's it.
And it puts us in a odd predicament. Cut that out. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It puts us in an odd predicament, because we have government officials saying, "Oh, nothing to see here," but then we have government officials who are like, "Well."
Yeah, well, he continued on to say, indeed, given the penalties for making false accusation statements to investigative agencies,
Yeah.
it is unlikely that these individuals, some of whom claim direct firsthand knowledge of the alleged UFO retrieval and reverse engineering efforts, are participating in a sophisticated disinformation effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what Grush said. This is literally word for word what he said.
It is.
Right?
And it puts us in this area that we've been in with varying information sources for decades, where we're in some sort of this secret UFO Cold War, essentially.
Well, that's what Grush called it. Yeah.
Right. Where we're dealing with other countries who've also retrieved objects of like kind and possible like origin. And it's who can reverse engineer it first.
Who's going to beat it? Who's going to get the gold ring? That's what this is all about, really.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's literally what we're looking at. So, like I said, Grush had described it publicly that it was an unknown Cold War and over recovered and exploited physical materials.
Yeah.
So, a competition with near peer adversaries over the years to identify UAP crashes, landings, retrievals, material for exploitative reverse engineering to garner asymmetrical national defense advantages. That's a fancy way of saying
to get the edge.
That's what that is. But according to U.S. Army Colonel Carol Neal, well, you see that part, right?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, because that's important.
According to Colonel Carl Neal, he served alongside Grush in the early iterations of the U.S. government's contemporary UFO analysis efforts. He essentially confirms Grush's assertions concerning the existence of the extraterrestrial arms race, and that it's been occurring for over the last 80 years, focusing on reverse engineering technologies of unknown origin.
80 years.
80 years. Let's rewind 80 years. What year was that, Ron?
80 years, almost to the day.
Yeah,
because it's been what, 76 or so, right, from Roswell, something like that. So yeah, you see where they're pointing at here.
Can't talk about Roswell though.
We can't talk about Roswell. That's what we can. So this is why we can't talk about Roswell, probably. Right.
Well, what we probably had happen at Roswell had to do with humans coming in contact with non-human intelligence.
Well, that's the allegation, and that's probably why we can't talk about Roswell.
Yeah.
I mean, for real, that's probably what it is. And just to, sum that up, Congress is paying attention at this point. And basically, they're starting to use this term, non-human intelligence.
Yep.
They went as far as to define it, didn't they?
They did. And non-human intelligence officially means any sentient, intelligent, non-human life form, regardless of nature or ultimate origin, that may be presumed responsible for UFOs.
What you just said, that last part. That's the quantifier. Basically, what we're saying is the things that are piloting or controlling the UFOs.
Yeah.
We're not talking about UAPs. We're saying UFOs.
There's a distinction.
Yeah, there is.
And I remember back when they were trying to, everybody was like, "Oh, they're trying to get you to switch from UFO to UAP."
That's not what it was about. That
wasn't
what it was all about.
Apparently, this
was all a game.
More than one strange thing going on in our sky, Ron. Where have we heard that before?
Subject A and Subject B.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's what we're seeing here. So.
Yep. Well, according to Grush, he states that we've reverse engineered UFOs and was in fact, it was the reverse engineering project, rather, was a very, very, very real thing. And this sparked flashback claims made in the 90s by Bob Lazar. You know, everybody knows Bob Lazar, and everybody was quick to call Bob a liar. And he's now the man standing on top of the hill saying, "I told you so."
Literally.
You know, he was the first real whistleblower when it comes to the UFO phenomena and government secrecy, and he came out to protect his own life.
My thing is, if the man was lying, boy, I mean, how could he get so many things right?
Yeah.
I was there when it broke.
Well,
I mean,
you know,
this was
one
real.
of the more interesting things that Grush said was his bringing up of legacy UFO programs.
Right. And that's what Bob was talking about.
Yeah.
Bob literally talked about that. He understood that some of these things were ancient, that they had been found in archaeological digs, etc. Like, this is word for word what is being said again now.
Well, according to the Schumer legislation, the proposed definitions of legacy UFO program precisely as whistleblowers allege: any government or private sector endeavors to collect, exploit, or reverse engineer technologies of unknown origin or examine biological evidence, space jelly, of living or deceased non-human intelligence. You know, just as importantly, the draft legislation mirrors whistleblower allegations that recovered UFOs are now in the hands of defense contractors. If passed as drafted, the bill will require that any and all recovered UFOs and biological evidence of non-human intelligence may be controlled by private persons or entities must be turned over to the U.S. government in the interests of the public good.
Now, I feel two ways about this.
Yeah.
I'm having, X-Men flashbacks, first of all.
Right.
And then the other part. Register. Right, exactly. And then I'm having this, well, maybe they're actually going to go after them and they'll let us know what's going on. But I kind of don't think so.
I kind of think go after them. They need their science. They need the engineers working on it. So they're just like, well, guess what? You work for Big Daddy G now. High five.
That's probably what it is. Literally.
You went from a private sector employee to a government employee overnight. I hope you like Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yeah. Either that or you just don't exist anymore.
Yeah. That too.
Oh, you didn't go to school.
Sorry. You didn't have records.
You don't have
any records. You graduating from college anywhere, man.
You don't exist. Looks like
you're fired.
You're out of here. Try to
start
prove
a company called United
Nuclear.
Semi-Nuclear.
But that's the greatest thing about this. You see, we laugh at it, but all of it's true.
It is. It's all true. Like, anybody who's in on the jokes that we just told, it's all true.
You know exactly what we're talking about.
Well, the biggest problem that all of this is seemingly to dredge up here is how much is the government actually going to bury and how much is the government going to tell us?
Yeah, because literally what they're going to do is go after private sectors at this point. And they're looking for any evidence that any technology, anything that they've got can be traced back to recovered UAP, UFO, et cetera, and put the kibosh on it. They want to stop it. I got news for you guys. You're too late. You're all too late, because we are here now probably because of that. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, that's for real. I'm not joking. So here's your chance. This is your chance for real. If that's the case, just say it.
This legislation that's been put in place by Gillibrand and Rubio, it basically outlines everything from material composition, methods of manufacturers, operational modalities, performances, what kind of uses it can have, like security or counterintelligence, or are these things going to be, reverse engineered further? Are we going to be able to have any kind of performance-based analysis of these materials or sensor data, any kind of observational information associated with all this stuff? Like, that's what they're saying they're going to release to the public.
I mean, it sounds good.
It does sound good.
If they do it. That's what I'm saying.
If they actually do it.
Chance. This is your chance.
Yep.
For us to actually coexist in this phenomena together. and
Well,
say, look, you're kind of right. Just give us a bone, throw us a bone.
we've had some of these things alluded to in the forms of patents and blueprints.
Right.
And some of these things are in the areas of interest in this legislation. It alludes to the existence of highly advanced forms of propulsion derived from and recovered from UFOs and the technology other than chemical propellants, solar power, or electric ion thrust.
Yeah. Basically, it's world-changing technology.
Yeah.
And according to
0 point energy is what it seems like.
Yep, that is exactly what it seems like. And I think it was Gillibrand. I don't know who it was. Someone came out on, I believe it was their X account as well. And they had said something basically like, well, someone found something. That was their general consensus of what has happened here. And that's why we're seeing this buildup at this point. That, something's brewing.
Yeah. And speaking of, the Galileo Project this week has requested footage from New England, basically all of New England, of security footage from an event that occurred. Now, is that of one of the fireballs that went over?
Probably.
Because there were several fireballs that happened here in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
And I bet that he was tracking an interstellar object.
Yep. That's what I'm thinking too.
And this is, he's looking to see what kind of trajectory it had based off these security cams.
Yep. So literally what we're saying is October 20th at 7:30, between 7:30 and 8 p.m., somewhere in the New England area, the invasion began. No, it didn't. But there is a chance that an interstellar object was seen, because there's no other reason the Galileo Project would be involved in trying to figure that out. They just wouldn't. They're not about meteorites. They're, unless they're from way out there, other galaxy kind of stuff. So,
well, as of this week, we've got that. Then we've got a nonprofit that just organized,
which is insane,
a new 501c3 that is banding together with Hollywood storytellers to get them together with the phenomena's researchers.
Why does this feel like we're making a show Bible at this point,
right,
for everyone to pull from?
Right. I mean,
are you getting this?
Because that's what
I'm seeing.
Just go back and listen to this show, and then you've got your next 2 months worth of content.
Yeah, it's like canon. They're trying to canonize the entire thing at this point.
Well, the goal of this group is to provide a more unified voice for the media leading up to and following what researchers have long been awaiting for. Disclosure. You heard it. The group is a media-centric resource teaming with those actively working with the research side of what some call unidentified aerial phenomena, with those actively working in creating of films, television, and various multimedia content. Yeah. Now, when you go through this board of directors, it's like seeing a lineup of the who's who in Hollywood.
Yep.
You've got TV producers, you've got people who have written music for the likes of Bruce Springsteen, Little Richard. Yep. You've got Emmy Award nominees, Emmy Award winners. You've got Earl Grey Anderson, which we're all familiar with if you're in the UFO phenomena. You've got Paul Hynek, who is the son of J. Allen Hynek of Project Blue Book, and the UFO consultant to Steven Spielberg on Close Encounters, which there's no coincidence in my opinion. Now, you've got all of these people who are involved in this program, and names that, like, if we literally read all these off, it's just like,
you go look. It's on the group. We have the whole article over there for you guys,
right?
And I'll link to it here too. But yeah, I mean, so who is who, like you said, and their goal is basically to present the factual side of the UFO phenomena, as opposed to the science fiction side of the UFO phenomena, right?
Right. And breaking yesterday, 10:31, Ross Coulthart announces that there was more to the initial U.S. shoot down that we were talking about earlier in this episode that started this show off today. and promises more to come this Thursday, which is going to be while we're live tomorrow on News Nation.
Yeah, could be interesting, right? Maybe we'll
It
have
could
to.
be very
We
interesting.
might have to do a screen share or something. I don't know,
Right?
but maybe we did. I don't know.
Yeah, so it'll be yesterday for you.
So I'll leave you with one final thing. This is literally 10 hours ago. This is from the Liberation Times. U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission confirms that it takes UFO threats seriously and coordinates with federal partners. And some of you might be like, well, duh. I mean, they got to watch, the nuke plants. Yeah, but here's the thing. They're not just talking about drones, and they actually go on as far enough to actually tell you what they're talking about. The spokesperson underlined the distinction of uncrewed aerial systems, such as drones versus UAP, which may have both prosaic and exotic explanations.
Well,
it's
okay.
Just building, man. It's just building up even more and more and more. I mean, and yeah, they're talking about how these things have been flying over, nuclear sites, nuclear plants, etc. And they're very interested in it. And I'm pretty sure that what they're kind of saying here is they're working with the FAA and the FBI and several of those alphabet soup agencies, trying to figure out, what these things are. If they present an actual threat, what are we dealing with?
Oh boy. Well, the plot thickens, guys. I hope you're ready, because I think by the time we come to our year-end review, we're going to have a few more answers to add to this episode here, and detail out what we think is going to happen throughout the early part of 2024 into transitioning into 2025.
Well, Lou's telling us the big thing is in the middle of 2024, which we've heard that before. That's not new. We've been talking about that for a while, that's, the scuttle is back in the background. They think, mid 2024 by summer. I think we're going to get something before that. We've said that publicly, that we think it's going to be around December is when we think that we're going to get something.
December, January timeframe.
Yep. So we're going to be watching, and doing what we've been doing, guys. I mean, we appreciate the fact that you guys actually cared enough to say, hey, you guys need to talk more about this. And I thought, well, what better thing to do? And I just wanted to go back and give you guys, we wanted to brief you, basically, because a lot of things we have forgotten already, Joe.
And there were a lot, because this year, I mean, it was just crammed in,
bombarded.
You're talking decades worth of story, that just unfolded in a couple months' time.
Right. And then everyone was just like, oh, okay.
Didn't care.
What's wrong with you?
Did not care. There was so much other stuff going on that they're like, UFOs, aliens, okay, whatever.
I mean, do you not understand what that means? I don't know that they do. I don't know if they can comprehend this. I want to talk about this for just a little bit, but to you and me, we've watched this, this wave build, for the last 5-6 years at this point, just how it's just become this massive tsunami. Dude, the wave is high and it's going to crash any day now at this point. Okay. And I don't mean that that's going to be something bad, but I do mean that it's going to be a paradigm shift when this happens.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to have to get okay with a whole lot of stuff really fast. Extremely fast. Everything from economics, socioeconomics, to religion, to everything in between. It's going to change our lives. But for some reason, everybody just wants to be like, this is fine. It's not happening. This is not happening. This is not happening. Oh, this is going on over there. I'll focus on that. Now watch this. Oh, look, someone's wearing a new dress over here on, whatever. This red carpet.
Yeah, exactly. This red carpet, or someone just got a Grammy. Guys, it don't matter. We're talking about the potential of the biggest story in remembered human history. Do you like what I did there? Because I think we did know this before. We just forgot. And now it's time to relearn. And hopefully we don't forget, and we pick up the lesson this time so we don't have to do this again. And I'm going to leave it right there with that, because I think you know what I mean. And I know our listeners who listen to this show understood every word I just said. I'm not going out on a negative note. I just wanted to say that you know what that means. So let's hope we get it right this time. Right?
Yeah, well, guys, if you're interested in staying up to date and keeping more in tune with what we're doing here at Wild and Weird Radio, you can catch us every Thursday live at 8 p.m. Jump on with us on YouTube. It is a YouTube exclusive show. That part doesn't go out on audio. We've got all kinds of stuff. A ton of listener interaction. It's fully fueled by the audience.
It's a fun show.
Yeah, it's an absolute blast.
It's a fun show.
Everybody has a good time.
Yeah.
Just you don't want to miss it. It's a great show, exclusive to Wild and Weird WV on YouTube. Share it with your friends. Show up and hang out. Tomorrow we're probably going to be half paying attention to the live show and half paying attention to News Nation.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. I don't know how
it'll be
it turned
interesting
out.
to see what shakes out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, it's a fun time, and it's us being silly, being goofy, being ourselves. It's us being ourselves instead of having, a really super organized informational content show for you guys.
Yeah. So you're not time travelers. So join us next Thursday.
Yes. Join us next Thursday, every Thursday at 8 p.m. and have a blast with us.
Yes.
Now, you guys that want to keep supporting Wild and Weird Radio, you can do so by heading over to wildandweirdwv.com and go to our shops. You can pick up some t-shirts, mugs, all kinds of different stuff with various artwork on those, and support Wild and Weird Radio that way. Or you can join our super chatters and get your name added to the bottom list of our ticker here. And these guys are who are responsible for the show. You guys are what keep this thing fueled. And
Theresa, Dewey, Spooky, Larry, Guitars Change Craig, Travis, Geoffrey, Russ, Chris, Ada, Nancy, Scott, BigfootLittlefoot, and Tommy, and Terri, and who's the new one? Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah Ramsey.
And I forgot Adam Good. Sorry.
And, the best way that you guys can actually help support the show is to just like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Tell a friend about it. Share it around. There's always these questions where people are asking on social media, what's your favorite podcast? And then there's like 18 trillion answers. Just throw Wild and Weird Radio in the mix there with your comment.
Exactly.
Jump in there and drop it in, or go to our website, share the website, share some of our stuff from our YouTube channel, tell your
come
friends.
see us. Come see us at Crypticon.
Yeah.
We're going to be at Crypticon. We'll be speaking at Crypticon. We'll be talking about some of this stuff, and we actually get to show you some of the data that we actually collected in the field during that presentation. Please be there. You might learn something. Actually.
It's going to be a good time. That much I can promise.
Oh, for sure.
So, again, like Ron said, our very next stop and last of the year is CryptidCon. So if you're wanting to catch us, it is this month at the Clarion Hotel and Conference Center in Lexington, Kentucky. There's a great lineup of speakers that are going to be there. There's folks from Expedition Bigfoot going to be there. There's folks, Dave Politis is going to be there on Saturday.
Yeah.
We've got Lyle Blackburn's going to be there. Oh, guess what? Yeah, we're speaking. We're in that lineup with all those guys too.
And I might even bring this thing and play it.
Oh boy.
I don't know.
And it's going to be a good time. I know that there's already a few of you guys that have already told us that you're coming, and we're going to hang out and get something to eat with you guys and spend some time with our family. You guys are part of the family, and we love each and every one of you guys. We can't tell you that enough. And it just that is what it is. So we appreciate all of you guys. And until next time, remember, if you're being told out of one side of your mouth that UFOs are real, and then out of the other side of the mouth that UFOs are not real, they are real. Stay wild and weird, everybody.